What's your take on how we can get legislation through the Senate that protects American voters?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me this morning. Look, I think that H.R. 1 is very, very clear. It's been sent to the Senate. Senator Merkley has now presented it as S1, and I have met with various senators, including Senator Manchin, and I've said time and time again that in H.R. 4 is the so-called pre-clearance. And since there are 47 states that have now proposed legislation that could suppress vote, we need to pass H.R. 1 with the pre-clearance that is in H.R. 4, let it apply to all 50 states, and move forward to an up or down vote. I read Senator Manchin's op-ed this morning, and I think that Senator Manchin is misrepresenting to the public exactly what's going on here. He is not voting against H.R. 1 when he proposes to continue this filibuster. The filibuster is to prevent the head of the Senate, Senator Schumer, to prevent him from limiting the debate and setting a date for an up or down vote. So Senator Manchin can vote anywhere he wants to vote on H.R. 1 or S1, but he should not be allowing 60 votes to be required so that we can go to a final vote. The Senator Manchin said in his op-ed piece this morning that some folks who are smarter than he is said certain things. Well, the fact of the matter is, I don't know that I'm smarter than Senator Manchin, but I'm smart enough to know the difference between an up or down vote and a filibuster. And what he is doing is continuing to filibuster the vote and the debate rather than to allow Schumer to limit debate and set a date. And that's what we're trying to do. Please, Mr. Manchin, vote to limit debate so we can set a date and have an up or down vote on whether or not we are going to have a continuation of voting rights in this country.
Congressman, I always enjoy having you here on a Sunday morning because I get a little history. You are an historian as well, and the issue about the filibuster has been the subject of historical debate in the last few months, particularly with Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, about what it's for, what it was brought in for, and what it mostly did. And one can argue about these things, but ultimately this comes down to Senator Manchin saying that preserving the filibuster is preserving democracy. And the argument you're making right now is that preserving the filibuster is not preserving democracy at the moment.
It, in fact, suppresses democratic processes. That's what it does. There's nothing in the Constitution about a filibuster. The filibuster has not been around. I've heard people talk about what the filibuster was put in place for. Nobody knows what it was put in place for. It just popped up. It came in to dialogue or to a process some time ago as a tradition. And I know a little bit about this. It was used in 1957 by Strom Thurmond to prevent a vote on a civil rights issue back in 1957. Not the 64 Civil Rights Act or the 65 Voting Rights Act, but the 1957 Statement of a Principle. And it was, he set the record, over 25 hours filibustering a principle. So the filibuster has been used to deny people's right to be a part of this democratic process. And you can go down through history, and that's what it's been all about. And there's nothing in law, nothing in the Constitution. Yeah. It's a practice to ameliorate some senators who were against civil rights.
Congressman, you were talking about this op-ed that's been published this morning. I'm reading from the Charleston Gazette-Mail, in which Senator Manchin writes, the truth, I would argue, is that voting and election reform that is done in a partisan manner will all but ensure partisan divisions continue to deepen. How do you respond to that particular thing? He's saying that if it's just a Democrat-Republican vote, that's not going to solve any problems.
Well, I think he is absolutely wrong about that. How many Republican votes we got for the Affordable Care Act? It is a bipartisan legislation. And to use his analogy, health issues are not limited to any one race of people or any one political party. Democrats get sick. Republicans get sick. The Affordable Care Act is a bipartisan remedy for the inability to pay for your sicknesses. So the same thing here. You don't have to get Republican votes in order to have a bipartisan result. We have a bipartisan support for what Joe Biden is doing. Over 60% of Republicans support his agenda. Does that make it partisan? No. It is partisan when political operatives decide to use their strength in order to deny people's access to various things in our government. I have been saying for a long time that we don't have to make this country great again. This country is great. What we've got to do is make this country's greatness accessible and affordable for all of its citizens. And that's what Joe Biden is trying to do. This country's greatness is there. We need to make it affordable and accessible. Voting rights need to be affordable and accessible. Housing, affordable and accessible. Whatever it is that we have in this country, let's do what is necessary so that all of its citizens can have access to it and be able to afford to get it.
Representative Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, always good to have you on the show, sir. Jim Clyburn is the majority whip in the House of Representatives, and he's the chair of the House Select Committee on the coronavirus crisis.